So what is the one thing that our culture frowns on more than anything else? I think it's restraint, self-control. Try being someone who abstains from food, drink, indulgence, sex, technology, and you'll find someone who probably has no friends or is considered to be a weirdo. Our culture frowns on restraint and self-control. Abstinence, even for short times, is considered to be a shock. Self-control, abstinence, I mean, talk about celibacy for like 2 seconds and you'll have people's jaws dropping. What do you mean? But we're sexual creatures. We're supposed to be engaging to slow down, restraint, some self-control. It's dangerous to do the things that are not embraced by the world. It feels dangerous because as humans, we long for companionship, we long for love and affection and connection. We're trying to do the things that will guarantee us those things because we think that if we do what everybody else does and we stick with the program, we won't be exiled from the community. But in effect, it keeps us from our truth and it keeps us from doing that which we really must be doing. The soul is redeemed through exalted virtues. And remember that redeem means to buy back. So we're buying back the soul through the exalted virtues. This is the last thing that most people want to hear because they want to hear about how you can indulge, not how you shouldn't be indulging. We are conditioned to do what feels good, to take the path of least resistance, to always be seeking pleasure, enjoying ourselves. And that's probably because life offers, the way life operates is like has you working or indulging, working for as a slave, and then on your off hours, you get to have all those things that break you down and keep you enslaved and keep you soft and weak and broken. We know the 7 deadly sins, but they have these antidotes. The antidotes are the virtues, and it's not a bad place to start to learn them this way. And don't let your sort of knee-jerk definitions be the definer around them. Let's talk about what they're all about. So here we have these, quintessential 7 biblical vices: pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. And when you line each one up, so if you think about pride, then you'll see that humility is the corresponding antidote. The way to think about it is you move away from pride toward humility rather than feeling that you have to battle pride. It's just easier to walk away from something in a new direction. If you think about each one of these, you take pride, you see that humility enables you to, it's the antidote. You walk toward humility rather than battling pride. You walk toward charity as opposed to fighting your greed. It's good to understand where your greed came from and take a good look at it, but don't spend too much time there. Move on, move toward charity. Chastity being the antidote to lust, self-control to envy. I've mixed self-control should be for gluttony, and generosity, joy for others, should be the antidote to envy. These antidotes, they sound lofty and hard to do in a certain context. So don't get caught up in the fact that it seems antiquated, that it's like old school, that it's these words aren't words we use on an everyday basis. Just let's think about them. We really have to espouse these and embody these virtues, and it does take work. But if we have any chance of getting out of this vile septic swamp and getting through this narrow pathway to be rebirthed into life, we have to, and we can't be walking around with these vices. And they're kind of subtle because, most people wouldn't think that they're riddled with vices like greed and sloth and these horrible words, really. But yet, if you break it down, you see that they're there. It's just they show up in your life in ways that don't sort of reek of these terms necessarily, but they're still there in the things you're trained to indulge and engage in. It's like stopping the buck when you recognize that the buck is there, and understanding that pride actually, it's all that reflection of self, all that imaging. You might not think, you might not think you're a prideful person, but think about how many places you let the image of yourself get in the way of who you really are. So pride actually gets in the way of your authenticity. It makes you fake and inauthentic. So from that perspective, it modernizes it. So we take this thing that's like biblical and ancient, but actually it's, it's very, very relevant. And we don't want to do that. We want to be authentic. We want to feel, because then the thing about suppressing anything in us is it takes away our energy. When you suppress your authenticity, you're suppressing your own energy. You're suppressing your life force. You're making yourself weak. You're making yourself tired. You're taking your own energy. You're not able to be yourself. So then you have to ask yourself, well, why? Why can't I be myself? Why have I accepted all this pride? Well, it goes back to that commoditization of self. Because if we don't have the pride and we don't present ourselves a certain way, then we're going to be worthless. But that's all the program. So you can use the previous secrets to cancel out these vices, and it becomes really empowering. You realize that you actually don't need to be that hooked into vanity and sort of image, like intense image consciousness. And again, it doesn't mean don't think for a second that it means that you're going to come across looking like an old hag because you suddenly have released your desire to, or your inclination to be inauthentic and fake. No, you're going to come across, it's going to be an evolution, but allow yourself to become yourself and see how beautiful that self is. That it's one of the most common surgeries now in America is the explant, the removal of breast implants. That's incredible. I mean, people are starting to see, they don't want to be all this pendulum that swung in the fakeness direction with the fake teeth and the fake boobs and the fake, the calf implants, the butt cheek implants, like all this stuff, all the injections in the face and the Botox and it's done. The fakeness is over. Thank God. I mean, there are a few hangers on. Virtues is the next thing. It's going to be the thing in the future to be virtuous, not virtue signaling, not fake virtues, truly righteously virtuous. And just wait for it. It's going to happen. The human makeup is really good and strong. We've been held down, suppressed, oppressed. I said that 100 times already, but we're coming back. Like there's these big, beautiful hearts in us that know that things have been wrong, are speaking, they're coming up, they're going to come through, they're going to come through the neck. Like the energy is finally going to come through, like the Jordan Peterson clip. We're finally going to start speaking and ask and wanting to take our goodness back. And we can't have goodness without the virtues that develop that goodness. The power that the Creator has isn't somehow separate to the qualities of the Creator. The power comes because of the qualities. So we have to have the qualities if we want to have the power, and the qualities are developed through these virtues. So we have to practice self-control. And one of the biggest ways that our energy is taken and that the mind matrix, the force field, works us over is through the sexual portal. So all this objectification and all this usury and all this exploitation, if you think about it, you look around all the advertisements, it's primarily done around the body and making everything sexy. Sexuality is incredibly intimate. It should not be engaged with the way the world engages with it, not by a long shot. The world is so far off. It's a form of magic that is being used against us. It's demeaning. Like I said, it's a huge portal. It's an energetic portal, and it enables all manner of vile thoughts and feelings and a violation of innocence to enter into us and talk about possession and entities coming in. If we're talking about how we lose our power and lose our soul, we have to see what's right in front of us. Every billboard, every advertisement, every magazine, we talk about commoditization. Everything we do is about commoditization. Well, most of the commoditization, most of the transactions are based on being sexy, being appealing in a physical way, which is for what? The objectification of sexual pleasure. Totally the opposite of incorruptibility. It's basically ruining our lives because it's dictating the family dynamic. It's dictating the way your engagement with the opposite sex takes place. People are so far out of their alignment, their clarity, their well-being, their knowledge of self. They sell themselves, they barter themselves off, they do a trade with another person, and then they exchange sacred sexual fluids. And I mean, it's so nonsensical, but we've been so conditioned to believe it's normal. If you want to really get a handle on your life, get a handle on your sexuality. Recapitulate your sexual life. It's fine if you've made mistakes along the way. And it doesn't only happen through actual physical sexual union. It happens through all of the images get poured into us, everything we receive through films, through magazines, all this stuff. It's so much. It's all the stuff, right? All the stuffing that comes into us, all the imagery. If you can work on healing that, you will start to restore your soul and your energy sources, your connection, you will start to close up huge gaps where energy is being drained from you and where you're losing energy. And you'll be able to call the energy back that you would have lost over time through this, let's say, erroneous way of thinking and engaging. Huge healing can be done. I recommend a significant period of what I call conscious celibacy. And if you're in partnership and you can do this with your partner, that's fine. If you're not in a relationship, in a partnership at this time, that is a great thing to put your mind and your body to. That means no engagement sexually. And it's like, think of it as fasting. Your need, desire, sense of urgency, let's say, for the engagement is going to decrease. Just like when you fast, your desire for food decreases. Everyone is ill-wired. The alignment there is off. You can't trust your inclinations in that region because they've been so hyperstimulated, not just through physical engagements, but through all the images, all the stories, all the stuff that comes in through media and stories and lineage, and what you received in the home and things you were exposed to as a young person. Think of that as a great way to close portals that need to be closed and increase your energy and redeem. The redemption of soul force will happen in a major way. Don't underestimate the importance of the influences just based on your friends and potential, romantic partners. It's very important that you surround yourself with people who are setting their sights on the same thing as you are. It's fine to be alone on this path for a while, and some of you will be, and that's just part of how we need to soldier on and soldier through. The virtues are not about opposing the vices. They're about running to them as a strength. It's about galvanizing yourself to take action to rebuild. It's about building up strength, reverting to an incorruptible state where a virtuous life becomes the natural life. It should be. It's only this septic swamp that makes virtues seem like some odd thing where you're just, wearing a funny outfit or something, like a pilgrim or something. All right. So, okay. Espousing and embodying the virtues is about